What's the Church of Scientology so afraid of?
This is SPTV. Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV coverage of the Danny Masterson trial live from Los Angeles. The update is that a whole lot of nothing happened between the last update and this update. Nothing on top of nothing, a whole lot of nothing. We even had a little bit of a false alarm as far as the the jury having a question just before the lunch break. Some were under the impression that this question was going to be dealt with. That we went to court after the lunch break. We being me and two other people in the media section, wondering why nobody was letting us into the courtroom. And eventually, when we made it into the courtroom, we found out why. Whatever the question was had already been dealt with in writing. None of the attorneys had even been asked to come to the courthouse. The question wasn't even going to be put on the record until the next time the attorneys had to come to the courthouse. I heard the clerk mention the question. It was another question, something to do with Jane Doe 3, but couldn't give us the exact question because it wasn't going on the record. I don't know what we should infer about the fact that the jury is still asking questions pertaining to Jane Doe 3. The most charitable interpretation is that they've already come to conclusions regarding Jane Doe 1 and 2, and now they're focused on 3. Remember, there's 3 charges in this case of, there's 3 charges Danny's facing. 1 charge for each Jane Doe. 1, 2, 3. I was born in a cult, but not yesterday. I can at least count to 3. And and I have to say, though, that would be an extremely generous interpretation. There's no real reason to believe that that is what has occurred, but it is an optimistic view of it. It's a view I tend to want to take. I just don't know that I would bet any money on it. And so, and also, this is just me. I mean, this is just me. Like, if I were in every 12 pairs of shoes of the jurors, if I had already come to conclusions on Jane Doe 1 and 2, and all we were dealing with was some questions about Jane Doe 3, I feel like I would have been pretty motivated to just wrap things up before the end of Friday. I don't know. Is it just me? I mean, I've been on a jury before. It's not like I'm totally clueless as to how these proceedings work. And it was a criminal case. And our deliberations lasted, I think, for over a couple days. So, you know, I'm not clueless as to how this process works. Now, I'm going to guess that the jurors do not know how their findings will affect sentencing. For example, I'm willing to bet the jurors do not know that if Danny is only found guilty on 1 count, he walks away free. They do not know, I'm guessing, that he has to be found guilty on at least 2 of the 3 counts, the 3 charges, in order to go to prison. For all we know, they might think that he has to be found guilty on all 3 counts to go to prison. That would be a little counterintuitive, but it's possible they might think that. I'm just saying, I don't think they have any idea how their decisions affect whether Danny goes to prison and for how long he goes to prison. If he only gets found guilty on 1 count, he does not go to prison at all. If he gets found guilty on 2 counts, he's facing a minimum of 30 years. If he gets found guilty on all 3 counts, he's facing 45 years minimum to a maximum sentence of life. If any, I have myself wondered if the jurors had done their own research on the subject and they did know that he was facing, up to life in prison, or at least 45 years or 30 years to life. Like, if he's found guilty on 2 of the counts, I'm not quite sure if it's 30 years to life that he's facing. I just know that if it's 3 counts, he is facing 45 years to life. I've wondered if they'd done their own research and they knew that, would any of them take pity on him for the fact that the sentence could be so potentially great, and could a little bit of pity creeping in on a relatively young guy potentially serving life in prison, if maybe that would affect any of their willingness to find Danny guilty. You just never know. You just never know what's going through the minds of the jurors. However, I am returning home tomorrow morning. I will not be back on Monday. I just don't know that I can justify making like the reason I returned home 2 weekends ago is because court was out for a 4-day stretch. I was able to fly. I was actually able to skip a day of court, fly home on a Thursday, stay home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I flew home on Monday for court on Tuesday. There's just no way I can fly home, hang out for a few hours or even one day, and then fly right back just to be here for maybe one more day and then fly right home. It just doesn't make any sense in any way. So I'm going home tomorrow. I will have to follow the proceedings based on what gets reported on Monday. I'm still hoping for a guilty verdict. If there is a guilty verdict, I'm not gonna lie, I might fly back to LA just for a party. You know what I'm saying? That would be in the cards. That would be money well spent, in my opinion, to fly back just for a goddamn celebration party. That's what I'm hoping for. The evidentiary hearing. I've had some questions about this. What's happening with the evidentiary hearing that the judge has ordered to get to the bottom of who leaked the discovery file in this criminal case to Scientology's civil attorneys? That evidentiary hearing, Judge Almeida announced this morning, has been scheduled for May 31st. So again, that's like a week and a half away. I won't be here for it. It's not that newsworthy, to be perfectly honest. What we were really hoping for is that this is a hearing that was going to be scheduled. The real hope is that it was going to be scheduled concurrent to the jury deliberating. That really would have been a sweet spot. That really just would have been perfect timing. Anyway, due to the availabilities of the attorneys who are going to be subpoenaed, it had to be scheduled for May 31st. So a little bit of a bummer there. Other than that, guys, not much to report. I'll say the LA Times was in the courthouse today. The Daily Mail was in the courthouse today. There's one other attorney there who I've just never known who she's with. I spoke to her briefly, but I didn't actually ask her who she's with. She's been there pretty regularly, but I don't actually know who she is. So I can't say who else was there. Let's see. That's pretty much all we got, guys. I won't make this any longer than it has to be. Let's see. Apostate Alex. Keep up the good work, Aaron. Appreciate your reporting. Well, thank you very much, Alex. I do appreciate it. Will Gunn, are the Jane Does numbered in order of strength of case? Oh boy, that would be really insulting to them, wouldn't it? No, they're definitely not numbered based on strength of case. I don't actually know how they got numbered the way that they did. Yeah, because I don't believe Jane Doe 2 was known about before Jane Doe 3. It actually might be, now that I'm thinking about it, it might be that they're listed in the order in which the DA decided to use that individual as a charged victim. Remember, not all the victims are charged victims. Some of the victims are witnesses, a past bad acts witness. Now that I think about it, that I'm almost certain that that is the case. But yeah, not in order of the strength of the case. That would be so insulting. I know your question isn't insulting. It would just be insulting if they actually did it that way. Okay, Chi-Town native. We know they are going to appeal if found guilty, but will the fact that they allowed Scientology policy to be introduced be a big reason for the appeal? Definitely not, Chi-Town native. In my humble opinion, the judge has made it pretty clear that the defense team is the one who opened the door to the Scientology evidence being admitted, because the defense chose, instead of just arguing on the basis of consent, they chose to challenge whether these events even occurred at all, and based on the delayed reporting to law enforcement. And in order to explain the delayed reporting to law enforcement, it is necessary to explain the Scientology component. The judge has made that clear many, many times, and also made it clear that it was the defense who opened the door to it. So I don't think that, the defense could try to appeal based on anything. So maybe they'll just, throw everything to the wall and see what sticks. But I wouldn't expect them to lean heavily on that, is my personal opinion. Here we go. I'm going to get this. Kusljujic Samir. Kusljujic Samir. Just to hear you pronounce my name. I nailed it. I absolutely nailed that one. Matthew Brigg, just want to say thanks. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Matthew Brigg. I very much appreciate it. Selena Michelle, thanks for staying as long as you have. Amazing reporting. Another great shirt is what I think you meant to say. Thank you. In fact, my shirt almost perfectly matches your super chat, so it was meant to be. All right, let's see. Nikita Wadman. Have you heard inkling of charges being laid against Danny Masterson in Canada in regards to the brave female from Tony Ortega? Let's not say that the brave female is from Tony Ortega. The brave female came forward publicly before Tony Ortega published an interview with her without her consent. I have heard inkling of Danny Masterson possibly facing charges in Canada, criminal charges in Canada. I don't know all their rules and laws and statutes of limitations, but the inkling that I've heard, although I can't tell you how accurate it is that there is no, is that the crime is within the statute of limitations in Canada, or there isn't one. And I could be wrong. I'm just telling you what I've heard. So there may be more to come on that. Jen Nelson. Hey, Aaron, great coverage playing devil's advocate with the seriousness of these charges. I would hope the jury goes over this with a fine-tooth comb. Yes, and that's true. And look, someone else pointed out to me today, actually, it was the reporter from the Los Angeles Times, that the Harvey Weinstein trial only had 4 victims, charged victims, and that they deliberated for almost 3 weeks. That's crazy to me. The thing is, in the first trial, the Masterson jury didn't deliberate for much more than 3 days. So, I mean, look, it's possible we get, it's still possible we get a guilty verdict. Don't get me wrong. We all have a bad taste in our collective mouths from what happened in the first trial. And it's easy to assume that what we're seeing here is some sort of a reflection, some sort of reflection of what happened earlier. And that's not necessarily true. It's just so hard to know. We just don't know. That's the unfortunate truth. Susan Chambly. Did the judge not give the jurors directions while in open court? And if so, did she tell them about the at least 2 guilty verdicts? Thanks, Aaron, for a fantastic job. So the instructions that she gives to the jury have to do with the rules of evidence and how they should do their jobs. The instructions did not include anything about having to find at least 2 people guilty. I mean, if she had said that, that would have been grounds for a mistrial, in my humble opinion. Steve Britton, I suspect first verdict will be same for all. Steve, I'm not sure if you mean the first verdict in the first trial is going to repeat here, or if you mean whatever they concluded for Jane Doe 1, they will conclude for Jane Doe 2 and 3. I'm just not sure which one you mean. That's all. But thank you for the super chat, Steve Britton. What is this? Valerie Boljak. Aaron, I went back on my comments. Ugh, cringe. I'll just super sticker from now on. Sorry. Thank you for everything. I don't remember which comment you're talking about, Valerie Boljak. I don't remember seeing anything weird from you. But thank you for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. Karaoke Jen, thanks, Aaron and the SPTV Nation. We love y'all. Well, thank you very much. We love all of you as well. Lily Castle, maintaining hope, sending some prayers for justice. Glad you're going to spend time with family now. Yes, I've been away from my little munchkins for way too long. Fat Cat's Heaven, are the mothers of Jane Doe's Scientologists, ex-Scientologists. The mother of Jane Doe 1 is a current Scientologist. The mother of Jane Doe 2 is a former Scientologist. And the mother of Jane Doe 3 was never in Scientology at all. Thank you for the question. Kendall Links, might you have a surrogate in the courtroom for verdict whom you can interview? That's definitely possible, especially since I am telling everybody that I'm leaving. Maybe somebody will volunteer to go. And if so, maybe I'll figure out how to get my, I do have a press badge, and I can give that press badge to anyone else. I can share it with someone else. So if someone offers who I want to have go, maybe I will figure out how to leave my press badge behind for them. That's definitely a possibility. Thanks for mentioning it, Kendall Links. All right, this is Lauro Imperial. Do you think it is bad that I still enjoy that 70s show? Stephen Hyde is my favorite character. Got to separate the art from the artist, right? Whatever floats your boat. I never particularly cared for the show anyway, so I haven't had any existential crisis in relation to his character or that show. I guess more broadly speaking, I don't actually have a problem watching shows or movies with Scientologists. I don't even have a problem watching Tom Cruise movies, if I'm being perfectly blunt with you. It doesn't actually bother me. Sometimes I watch his movies just to see if he's being Tom Cruise again, or if he's being Tom Cruise super Scientologist. In all of his movies, all I see is Tom Cruise, the super Scientologist. I no longer see Tom Cruise, the thespian. Some people might question whether he ever was one, but I'm sorry. Magnolia was fantastic. I've never thought Tom Cruise was some sort of amazing actor, but he used to at least disappear into his roles a little bit, right? I mean, Magnolia was pretty good, right? All right, Red Apple Productions. Thank you so much, Red Apple Productions. Oh shit. I'm sorry. The Peace Lady, brave female from TO, is from Toronto, not Tony Ortega. Wow, that was a mistake on my part. My apologies for that one. Woo. All right, to a hammer, everything is a nail. Okay, Noel Goldberg. If they agree on 2 but not the third, is it a hung jury? No. It is only no, it is not. If they agree on 2 but not the third, that's 2 convictions. They might technically declare a I forget. I don't want to speak out of turn here. I could have sworn I saw a trial where they declared a mistrial on that 1 count, but the other 2 counts moved forward and the guy went to prison. I don't know if that's the right language, but I swear to God, I saw that. If it wasn't my imagination, I heard it on court TV or Law and Crime or some shit like that. So, but I know this: if they're unanimous on 2 of the charges and not unanimous on the third, those 2 charges are enough. Danny goes to prison. Hopper, if I were on the jury and everyone only agreed on 1 count, then found out about the 2 count rule, I'd throw up. A rapist goes free because of a technicality. Yeah, I'd be pretty messed up about it too. Kimber Du Smythe, AA, did you get to Knott's? I mean, I'm assuming you mean Knott's Farm. I've actually never been to Knott's Farm. I used to live in California. I used to live in LA for 6 years. 4 of those years was in the Sea Org, obviously, and almost doesn't even count. But 2 years I lived in LA just being a normal person. And I've never been to, is it Knott's Berry Farms, is it called? I've never been there. I don't even know what it is, really. Are there roller coasters? I don't even know. Calico26, how come your wife didn't testify? So the only interaction that my wife had was she was one of the people in the Sea organization who 2 of Danny's victims came to essentially ask for help. So first of all, my wife was never asked to testify. That's the real answer to your question. But if your question is why wasn't your wife asked to testify, it would be because no one is actually contesting that 2 of the 3 Jane Does reported the rapes to Scientology authorities and asked for help. No one is contesting that. So there would be no added value to what my wife had to say. Remember, my wife can only attest to what the Jane Does said to her. She can't attest as to whether they were telling the truth, which is all the jury really cares about. So my wife's testimony wouldn't have added anything. Thank you for the question, though. Very good question. Steve Britton, if first is guilty, all are guilty. That's what I thought you meant. That's what I thought you meant. And I hope that's what they do. I hope that's what they do. Ruth Ann McCallop, you've done a truly fabulous job of keeping the SPTV community in the know on this trial. Well, thank you, Ruth. I really very much appreciate it. Lisa Alexander, if not for your reporting, we'd know little to nothing on this case. Thank you for keeping us informed. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much. It really has been, my stay here in Los Angeles has been a pleasure. I've been very comfortable. I've enjoyed the company of a lot of friends, had a bunch of places to eat. The schedule's been manageable. I've been well rested for the most part. It's been an enjoyable experience. It has not been a chore, is what I'm really trying to say. I've enjoyed the experience of this stay, and I would definitely do it again. That's for sure. Thank you, Lisa. Strawberry, no, please stay. If it didn't cost north of like $400 a day just to exist here, I might. I just don't know that I can justify staying the entire weekend. Like if I stay through the weekend, then that means I'm staying through Monday. And then that means I'm traveling all day Tuesday. It's automatically 4 more days. It's just a little bit much. Scared of whiz bangs. Give your press badge to Leah. That would be truly hilarious. That would be amazing. I'll ask if she wants it, actually. Okay, what's this? Veggie. All right, there. Now I got it. Liam Mullen is next. Liam Mullen. Hey, Aaron, something I've been wondering. Did any of Scientology top executives remain kind and caring people despite all the craziness going on? I'm assuming you mean while still in the Sea Org. Did any of Scientology's top executives remain kind and caring in the Sea Org despite all the craziness going on? Let me think. No one comes to mind. You have to understand, it's not just an accident or a byproduct that Scientology executives would be the opposite of what you're saying here, which is kind and caring. It's that L. Ron Hubbard's definition of what an executive even is or should be or should behave is the opposite of kind and caring. Showing care or concern for the workers there's literally a term in Scientology that's a derogatory term called being worker oriented. It's a slur. It's one of the worst things you can be called as a Scientology executive, is to be worker oriented. I'm not making this up. This is it's a freaking slur. So what's an example of worker oriented? Geez, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone should really probably go to bed and get some rest. That's being worker oriented. Geez, the staff haven't been paid in a few weeks. Maybe we shouldn't cut staff pay from the financial planning this week. That's being worker oriented. It's a slur. So you cannot be a top executive in Scientology and be kind and caring. No one comes to mind. Thank you for the question. All right, Lori, I got it wrong. Lauro Imperial again. If he's guilty on just one count, he walks free? Yep, he walks free. Apparently raping just one woman is not a big deal. I mean, that's not literally how the law thinks, but it is effectively how the law thinks. Yeah, he goes free. He goes free. Okay, Kimber DeSmythe, Knott's Berry Farms, chicken dinner restaurant, and roller coasters. Roller coasters are one of my favorite thing in the world. I live 25 minutes from Busch Gardens. I will, on any random day of the week, just go to Busch Gardens by myself at 11 o'clock when the gates open, just so I can go on about 10 coasters before the lines get long and then go home. I truly love roller coasters. And yet I'm addicted to the ones at Busch Gardens. I'm not even sure, even if Knott's Berry Farms had great coasters, I probably wouldn't go, because I also refuse to stand in a line. I pay the big bucks for that special card where you get to jump to the front of all the lines. The car I got the one that's good for an entire year, guys. Big money. And just because I will not wait in line, I will not wait more than 10 minutes to go on a ride. I'd rather go on 0 rides than wait 45 minutes for any rides. That's just me. So it's probably one of the reasons I haven't gone to Knott's Berry Farms. But anyway, thank you for the super chat. Okay, John Sostowski, will Kohl's ship sandwiches to Clearwater? Boy, you know what? I bet they would. But I'm going to have to find a good French dip sandwich spot near me in Clearwater. I'm sure there's something. All right, veg. Maybe jury is being super charitable, giving him family one more weekend home free before being found guilty on Monday. It's actually really funny. That's actually a really funny thing. Could you imagine if they were back there like, yeah, you know what? We're about to send this guy away for life. Should we give him one more weekend and a little bit of false hope? Yeah. They actually ended off early today. I couldn't believe it. Ended off early. Guys, what are you doing? But maybe that's what they're doing. Yeah, let's give him one more weekend of freedom and a little bit of false hope, and then we'll send him to the slammer on Monday. I like that one. Good idea. All right, Karaoke Jen. I would volunteer, but I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That does make it a little difficult. Thank you for the super chat. Lauro Imperial. If a hung jury, can he be tried a third time? Can he be? I think so. Will he be? No, not in a million years, if you ask me. Okay. AG Fan Girly 36. Thank you for your continued coverage. Can't wait for further updates and other new content to come. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you very much. Hopper, can't remember which JDs have the internal reports. If they are asking questions about number 3 and she has a report, I'm concerned. The major reports were in Jane Doe 1's situation, but Jane Doe 3 does also have reports. In particular, she has an email that she sent to the ethics officer at Celebrity Center back in either 2016 or 2017. I always get it wrong. When she found out there were other victims, she sent an email to the ethics officer basically going, how could there be other victims when he was supposed to get handled back when I reported him? Tell me how there could be other victims. Now, someone might go, that's not actually a report. It's an email. It's also like retrospective. What is it? When you're looking backwards? Yeah. It's Jane Doe 2 who never went to the Scientology authorities. Jane Doe 3 very much did go to the Scientology authorities. And I only mentioned the email later on because, Jane Doe 3's testimony is that she did go to the Scientology authorities, and she has a lot of testimony that she gave about who she went to, what was said, who said what to her. I just don't recall any documentation, any reports being a part of the evidence from that time, which isn't unusual. You wouldn't expect her to still have those reports. But yeah, that's the answer to that question. Tools and stuff. It just occurred to me that Scientology is just like working a corporate job, except you pay the company. Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Loro Imperial, again, even if he is found guilty on all 3 counts, do you think he will actually spend 45 years in prison? He could be paroled earlier. These are mandatory minimum laws. So myself, me not being an expert, I don't know. When you have a mandatory minimum, are you still eligible for time off for good behavior? I just don't know. Sometimes the laws are different for state charges than federal charges. And sometimes the laws are different for violations that have mandatory minimum sentencing versus not. I just don't know. That would be a great question for my attorney friend, Zach Morgan, who, by the way, has his own YouTube channel that he started now. And I believe the name of his channel is Your Lawyer Friend Zach. It's not Your Attorney Friend Zach. It's Your Lawyer Friend Zach. So check that out. And maybe we'll do a chat once I'm back. We'll do a simultaneous stream on both of our channels, and we'll discuss things like that. That would be a lot of fun. Mark Fisher, Aaron, you are amazing. Well, Mark Fisher, you are amazing as well. And Mark Fisher also has a YouTube channel that he does with Janice Gillum Grady. It's called Our Scientology Stories, Peeling the Onion. I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. Sandy B, you need to open The Real Scientology Museum. Sounds like a lot of work, Sandy, not going to lie. All right, everyone. It looks like we have come to the end of the road tonight. And we have come to the end of the road of my coverage of the Danny Masterson trial, at least live from Los Angeles. So tomorrow will be a travel day. I'll see you guys Sunday, and we'll have more Danny Masterson news to report one way or the other on Monday. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks to all of you who watched until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,